Welcome to Middle Fingers Up, the show where we hold our heads high and our middle fingers higher. I'm your host, Kieran McKay. Today, I am so thrilled to share an inspiring journey that has validated and enlightened me, meeting Bree and Charles and learning about their unique path as people of color serves as inspiration and motivation. Their story is more than an exploration. It's a testament to the importance of creating safe spaces for our voices. Learning about their experiences has brought reflection to my own journey. I am truly enthusiastic about exploring a narrative sculpted by adoption and enriched cultural roots. I so appreciate Bree and Charles for generously sharing their time to make this journey possible. I'm going to welcome them both. Welcome, Bree. Welcome, Charles. Thank you for being here today. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing, Karen?
I'm so good. How are you, Bree?
I'm good. Thank you for having us.
I am so glad you both agreed to be here today. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
We didn't all agree to this.
It's true. It's true. I think Charles agreed for you when Carrie and I reached out to both of you.
Yeah. He did. He just told me about it at home.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way.
For me. Yeah. By the way, you have a podcast you have to do on vacation.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing. We're in Mexico. We're on the Mayan Riviera. We have a beautiful ocean view where we all met up. So we're all here, and you two had to agree to do this while we're on vacation because you're both from Houston and I'm from Calgary. So we were trying to figure out our schedules. Yeah. So thank you for being on your vacation and coming out and being on the podcast today.
It's our pleasure.
It's all billable hours. It's okay.
It's all billable. Bill them to Carrie.
Yeah.
You'll never get paid.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's really funny because I met both of you not too long ago. Charles, you and Carrie have joined partnership with the other members of their business. And so that's sort of how I got to meet both of you, visited your home, went to Houston a few weeks ago. And really getting to spend some time with both of you. Also, on this trip, getting to spend some evenings outside by the ocean, just having some heart-to-hearts. Yes. The fact that after meeting you and having some heart-to-hearts with both of you, every time I leave a conversation with both of you, I don't know if it's motivation or inspiration, like I mentioned, I feel validated. Like I just feel this, I don't know, like connection or, oh, okay, you too? You feel that too? Or, oh, that's interesting that's what comes out of those kind of conversations. And this whole platform, movement, whatever we want to call it, is about amplifying voices of people of color. For those of us that have had to kind of fight our way through, had some lovely influencers, people that have been leading that path for us. But we can't all be famous celebrities that are going to be on a Netflix show. Like this is all about everyday real humans, being able to talk about our everyday real human stuff. And the hope is from episodes like today, other people of color can also connect, maybe exhale a little bit and feel, okay, this isn't just me. And I'm also hoping our white friends who are great and support us and follow us may also have a learning opportunity as well. Because I think we've started to talk a lot about unconscious bias. We've talked a lot about sometimes in conversation with our loved ones. It's hard to bring conversation to this place of when you talk like that to me, it actually hurts me this way, or go for it.
To give them a new perspective on the issue.
Totally. Because that's how our unconscious bias sort of comes to light, right? It goes from unconscious to conscious. We're like, oh shit, I do that thing or I say that thing. First of all, let's talk about the location. How are we feeling? You got ocean view. How's the vacation going so far?
It's so beautiful and peaceful, relaxing.
Anything come to light for you? What about when you're walking around and looking at all the guests and everybody here? How does that feel for you guys?
It is. I think it's different, and I've normalized kind of being the only person of color in places that I go. Yeah. I've kind of normalized it, and we and her have the the internal conversations about it, right? Like, oh, did you see any? No. But we embrace it. And we go back and we tell people like, yo, dude, you should go here.
Yeah.
Because it's extremely nice.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to come tell us, oh, you guys should go to the Grand, wherever we're at.
Right.
And nobody's going to come back and tell us, right?
Yeah.
So we tell people, like, you guys should go here.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good point. It's sharing with people that you know, your own people, about these experiences. And also, I think the reason why I asked that, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like for me, that's been the same too. Like walking around, Carrie and I, you know, Carrie's even pointed out, oh, wow, like you're the only Indian person 100%. Here. Or, oh my God, we saw an Asian person. Or, oh wow, we saw 2 more Black people. Yeah. Because it is European and mostly people that are Caucasian that are at the resort. And I don't know what it is, but it's interesting because when Carrie brought it up to the group too, he's like, oh, have you guys noticed? It's interesting because sometimes people in my community, like friends in my sort of group, won't pick up on things like that. And then the people of color will often, like you said, normalize it or, I don't know, become immune to it. Yeah. And so my question is that the way for us to go about? Like, how do we tend to something like that?
I think you have to normalize it because there's nothing you could do to kind of change it, especially in a situation where it's like a vacation or some type of trip. There's nothing you can do to change it. So you kind of normalize it and you take the experience in. And like if you, for example, the people who've met me on this trip, and I stand out to those people because they come and they
I've seen it. You're like super popular. Every day when we're eating dinner, someone's high-fiving Charles. I'm like, whoa, what the hell, man? Why are you so popular? Yeah.
But you kind of stand out, right? And it allows you to really see people because they'll approach you and have a genuine conversation with you because you do stand out. Mm-hmm. And it's almost an acceptance speech. Oh, what do you guys do? Or what brings you guys here? You know? And if you can get more people down here of color or that look like us down here to experience that, I think their views would change for the people outside of the resort. Yeah. Right? Because not everybody's bad.
I think that's a really good point. Okay, so let's just play a cute little game here. So just a couple little icebreakers. If either of you could choose a soundtrack for your life that represents your journey, what 3 songs would you include?
3?
Yeah. I know it's a short soundtrack.
I Will Survive.
Oh, okay. Right? Yeah.
Every Day I'm Hustling, Rick Ross. And Nipsey Hussle, Blue Laces.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that? No? Okay.
I think those kind of like
those are the ones?
Everything, yeah.
I'm so bad being put on the spot. I can't think of any songs.
Just say Celine Dion. And like everybody agrees with her.
Oh my gosh. Do you like Celine Dion?
I like some of her music.
She's Canadian, yo. That's like amazing. Yeah. French Canadian. Big fan. Did you check her out in Vegas?
No.
I heard she puts on like a really good show.
I actually only know like one song.
Wow.
And My Heart Will Go On, the Titanic. That's the one. There's so many, but that's the one.
Yeah,
I know, sure. Right? Yeah. Maybe that's one of your songs. My Heart Will Go On.
Oh yeah, probably so.
Right? What about the songs we heard in karaoke yesterday or the other day? Were there anyone from there that you connected to?
Not to like explain who I am.
Yeah.
But like Whitney Houston, I'm a huge fan. Yeah. Jasmine Sullivan, huge fan.
Okay.
Yeah. I like strong women with strong voices.
Yeah.
But feminine energy.
Right. There you go. What songs does she listen to? What do you think
I think of that Jasmine Sullivan.
Oh, I like this song, 7 Years Old.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She loves that song.
Yeah, that song, kids. I cry to that song all the time.
Yeah. Is he Irish, the singer, or he's from Europe, right?
I have no idea where he's from.
My daddy told me when I was 7 years old. Yeah, Lucas Graham. There you go. Okay.
And then what about the guy singing in the woods? You're a pretty big fan of his recently.
Oh, Anthony Oliver. I relate to his song. Yeah. Richmond of North Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So a couple songs that I like.
I just learned some new music, so I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, for sure.
You definitely have to throw some kind of Cardi or Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Where's Megan? Our Houston girls. Where's Bay? Right? None of them.
I like the old Megan Thee Stallion. The first album she released that made her blow. Tina Snow.
Yeah.
I like Tina Snow.
Yeah. But not what came after, hey? Yeah. Why? Because she went commercial?
She just stopped being who she was and became more industry-like.
Yeah. What people want to hear?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You know, what the labels allow you to put out isn't necessarily what you want to make.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows.
You have to really stick to your guns, right? Like we talk about being authentic.
Yeah.
Myself and Bree are extremely authentic. Like what you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And we love that aspect of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we've tried so long to try to fit in with other groups or other people, right?
Right.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
was that always like that for you? Or did you have to get to that place where you're like, you know what? It's what you see is what you get.
I had to get to that place. I know she did as well.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to elaborate on it at all?
She will, because I'm going to ask her. I know I'm going to ask her some of those questions in a minute. Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you guys another question. If you could describe, this is going to be a big one. If you could describe your cultural identity in 3 words, what would they be?
Strong, outspoken, and headstrong.
Strong, outspoken, and headstrong. Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Strength with physical, right? Mm-hmm. Mental, outspoken, like, I really want you to understand where I'm coming from when I speak these things. And headstrong, like, if you tell me no, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Just tell me no.
Yeah. Okay. Always that way, or did
always,
that? Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
I get a joy out of proving people wrong.
Right.
Tell me I can't do something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll show you. Yeah. Yeah. I'll see you. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Challenge accepted. Yeah. For you, Bree?
Okay. So I would say like power, wisdom, and growth.
Nice. Sure. Yeah. Want to elaborate?
I think in the Black community, we have a lot of growing to do. We've came a long way, but we're so far from where we should be. But we're also at our highest. I think everybody right now is super confident in who they are, the power they hold in the world. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that was like a super big.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more, and then we're going to go to the middle fingers up. Okay, how about this? This is a classic. We get asked this sometimes. If you could invite 3 historical figures from your background to a dinner party, who would they be and why?
It would probably be Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, right? We're talking about bringing them to present day, right?
Yeah.
To ask them whose dream is actually being lived right now. To get both of their perspective of the world. Because I think to get both of their perspectives of the world. And the third person would probably be Marcus Garvey. Yeah, probably Marcus Garvey.
Can you tell me why? Tell me, I don't know Marcus Garvey.
I did a report on him when I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. Okay. So I was intrigued by what he was able to do, time frame that he was in. So I'm really intrigued by people's mindsets and their thought process to become powerful or prolific. I'll be intrigued by his mindset more than anything.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, Bree, for you, share a moment from your childhood that you believe strongly influenced who you are today.
I'm going to say my grandparents and the way they spoiled me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I got everything I wanted from a very young age.
Right.
So I think that's a pretty strong characteristic I still have. Yeah. And it's from them.
Right. Aw, shout out to your grandparents, hey?
Right.
Yeah. You can say that.
Yeah.
Pretty dope people.
You can say that. I like that. Okay. Let's go into our middle fingers up. Okay. Charles, what do you want to put your middle fingers up to today?
Middle fingers up to these kids. My God.
Oh, the fucking kids. You have 2.
Yeah. Love them to death.
Yes, of course. You have to say that.
I'm on vacation, right?
Yeah.
But middle fingers up to them.
Yeah. Because you are, but you're not, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't fully unplug from them. You have to keep in, like, well, how are they doing? Are they okay?
Are you doing what you're supposed to do?
Right.
Are you going to school?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Same things.
Have you been checking in with them a lot while you've been here?
It's the boss's job.
Yeah. Oh, have you had to breathe?
I check in with my daughter. She checks in with my
son. Oh, right. Because I learned about this relationship. Yeah.
I love my son, though. Yeah, he has built a bond with Bree, so
You guys are probably alike. Usually the ones that butt heads a bit are, in my house, I love my oldest son so much too. He and I are more alike. So I feel a little bit more connected with our younger one in that I can figure stuff out in a better way with him. But my husband can do that with our older son. Yeah. So we both kind of, will take turns doing that and I also think where you fall in your sibling, sort of if you're an only child or you're the oldest, or I'm the oldest, my son's the oldest. So we just have that older kid mentality, and I'm a caretaker.
Yeah.
So I can take care of my, the younger one, and my Carrie is the youngest one. So 2 younger ones together, right? So he kind of connects better with the older one. But sometimes I'm like, thank gosh that happened. Like, imagine if we had a third one who'd connect with that one.
I think you can relate to that. Like, you're the youngest out of your siblings. You connect with London more. And then I'm the oldest out of my brother.
Yeah.
I connect with Junior more.
Yeah.
More is just on understanding where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Or why they act how they act.
Right. Which I think is super important, because sometimes we don't, while we're supposed to look at that way as parents, it's hard because we get in our own way, and the things that maybe you and I were talking about this, Charles, too. Like, we want them to be better than we are. They're the next version of us. So we put all this pressure and all that. But then sometimes that pressure seems to get in the way of the teaching that we're trying to provide.
Correct.
So it's helpful to have a partner, I think. Like, you guys balance really well. I've seen you two talk about both kids and the situations. And I like how you will counteract some of that and balance because you're like, wait a minute. Do we not remember what it was like to be a teenager?
Right.
How can we forget that was such an important part of our life, but somehow we disconnect from that? We think you should just know this.
Yeah.
You should just take the garbage out. Why are you not taking the garbage out?
Yeah, and I think parents get so caught up in teaching and wanting their kids to be better that they forget how that looks on the love aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, even though you're hard, and rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
I get the meaning. But you have to also show the love aspect of it. Otherwise, the kids don't understand why you're being hard on them. And they won't ever understand. All they're going to look at is you were hard and you never showed love.
Yeah.
And then they grow to be adults with this trauma that was never your intention. You know you love them. You were doing everything you thought you needed to do. But you just have to have that balance.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a teacher in school that was like the hardest teacher that you've ever had, right? But you remember this teacher to this day. Mine was Mrs. Graham in the 5th grade. Mrs. Graham was like the devil to me, right? Growing up in the 5th grade.
No shout outs.
Yeah. No, I love Mrs. Graham though, right? Love Mrs. Graham, but that's who I remember.
Yeah.
She was hard on me, but she taught me so much.
Yeah.
So I think the people who've taught me the most lessons were hard on me in life.
Right.
Extremely hard on me. My mother, extremely hard on me in life. So we only pass along what we've learned.
Yeah. It's just that sometimes we don't recognize that when those loved ones or that teacher, those influencers that are being so hard on us, we don't recognize it until way later.
Correct.
We're like, oh, now I get why my mom was trying to teach me that thing. I should call her and say, I love you.
Correct.
And in the moment, though, it's hard because we don't know sometimes it feels like throwing spaghetti at a wall and is this going to stick? Is it not? And, Bree, you make a really good point too, because what you just explained to me reminds me of our parents and the ones before, like the immigrants that came over. My parents were immigrants and I'm a child of immigrant parents, and they did the best they could. And they did all these things by being hard and out of fear and making sure we'd grow up to be these kids that can take care of ourselves. And then now when you look back, you see this soft, gentle side with the grandkids.
Where was this
and I'm like, exactly. I'm like, what the fuck, Mom? The kids get A&W or McDonald's 2 days in a row. We only got Coke when guests were coming over, and that, where did that go? So my mom would say it's an investment now. It's payback, right? Like, we get to enjoy our grandkids in a different way, but they're also growing. And I think as parents, one thing we can connect with our parents is we're also growing. Like, we're learning, we're trying to do the best we can as well, and hope our kids will grow up to appreciate some of those hard lessons.
I think the older that you get, the more you reflect on the decisions you've made throughout your lifetime. And if you would have did something differently, what the outcome would have been versus what it ended up being.
Yeah.
We see that. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah, like
we see that a lot. Yeah, with my
specifically.
family.
Yeah.
We see that a lot. Like when we go to LA, like everybody talks about, like I have an uncle, Robert Jr. It took me 15 years to call him and be like, hey, I just want to call you and tell you thank you for always riding my ass when I wasn't doing the proper things, right?
Yeah.
It took me a long time, right?
Yeah.
And then we went to go see him when we were there, or even my siblings who are much older than me, right?
Yeah.
So we were always so, like, one of my brothers had tears in his eyes. It's like, man, I was just so hard on him. I was extremely tough on him, but he turned out okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's an amazing feeling, I think, to hear that, uncles, grandparents, parents, to get that call and hear something like that from us, because I'm sure they're also thinking like, did I do enough? Mm-hmm. Was that too much? Mm-hmm. I hope he knows that I love him so much from afar, but pride, all these other things get in the way. We don't all pick up the phone and tell each other that.
Of course.
And I don't know, I have this thing where it's like, I don't want the people that I love and care for to hear me say how much they meant to me at their funeral when they're not here. Like, correct. How can I tell them now? But we're humans and we take advantage of those things and we don't always do it. So I think it's a good reminder today too of pick up the phone and call that loved one who maybe taught us that hard lesson or helped us see something that in the moment we're like, fuck you. Yeah. But 10, 15, however many years later, we're like, oh, now I know why you taught me that thing that you did. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we are.
So I'll save a little bit.
Save a little bit. Yeah, like suspense. Then let's do your MFU, Bree. What do you want to put your middle fingers up to?
Middle fingers up to people wanting to touch you all the time because you look differently than they look, or differently than what they would think a Black girl looks like or an Indian girl looks like.
Can we talk a little bit more about that?
So we were on a cruise in February. It was a majority older white crowd, like starting probably ages 60 and up. And we were going to the lounge, which is like their club. And we'd go drink. And like it was a lady in there and she was super drunk. And she came up to me and she was like, OMG, I just have to touch you. Just have to touch your hair. And me and him both looked at each other like I never spoke to this lady. I don't think I did. I don't think it was no conversation. Yeah. She said what she said. She touched me. Then she just walked off.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel weird. It makes you feel like a pet almost. Like why would you?
It is a pet. Yeah. Well, and I'm really glad that you brought this up. You and I have had a similar conversation. Actually, the first bonding conversation in your car, in your little Kia there. We'll leave it at that. We talked about this, and I had mentioned to you that I was in the process, Carrie and I were reading this book called White Tears, Brown Scars, and a Muslim woman put this book together, and it was just, I talk about this now all the time, but this book for me is one of few. There's White Fragility. There's a few ones out there, and there's even a few about don't touch my hair. And what I learned from this book was today, we have so many unconscious biases where we don't recognize our privilege when we're walking into a conversation or lack thereof. I think those of us that don't have the privilege, we know when we walk into a conversation. For, many of us like, we wait, let the other person talk. We're kind of uncomfortable. But in the book, there was like fucking 2 chapters on this, just about where the petting and the touching of the hair comes way from colonization back in the day in Africa. And a lot of the Black people, women in particular, weren't allowed to have their hair. So it was shaved. And a lot of them were pet. It's like you're this doll or something. And because you're so different, people don't know how to connect with you. And sometimes that blows my mind because I'm like, if we just look at it from human to human,
100%.
Like you wouldn't go up to a random person and say, can I touch your hair? Or can I touch your pregnant belly? No. Or it's so weird how it's flipped, but those are the things that many people are doing today that don't understand. And I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I just think it's good to get this out and talk about so people can understand what does that actually mean when someone comes up to you and starts playing with your hair.
Right.
It's so odd to me.
And sometimes it's the comments that follow, like, oh, you have pretty hair for a Black girl. Or, oh, like I wear braids, and oh, is that your natural hair? Is that a lot of times I know they're just curious. It's just the way it sounds. Like it's uncomfortable to have to answer the questions when you're not going to understand anyway. Yeah. And then you have some people who want to they'll just stare at you. Yeah. Naturally, to make it unweird, you speak, and then it opens up this whole questionnaire. What are you? Why is your hair this way? Yeah. How did you get it this way? You're super light to be Black. It's just weird. The whole conversation, it's just weird.
It is because Systemic racism. All color was brought in by the settlers, and anywhere where colonization happened, that's where color became a thing. Color wasn't a thing, yet it still is. It's in your face every day. And if you say something, I would imagine, and I don't want to speak for you, but from my experience, then you're the bad guy. Because I was just saying you're pretty for a black girl. Like, why are you now telling me I'm not racist?
Right.
Now you're the typical black girl.
Yeah, because you got you got attitude and you got aggression, and it takes away from what the actual situation is, which is fuck off.
Right.
Don't touch my hair. And also, whose job is it to start to educate those moments we have with our, because there's loved ones that do this too, right? Like people we love so much that we don't want to offend, but whose job is it to say, you know what, when we talk like this is actually what this is dating back to. I know that you're trying to be kind, but do we have to make it about my physical? Can we talk about where we traveled last to, or why is it about your demographic, your features always?
So do you think they see it as a connection point? You don't think it's a connection point?
Like to connect with you?
Yeah.
100%. I like that question. I think personally it comes from exactly the piece of I'm a good person. I'm not racist. I want to connect with people. And then the list goes on.
So how do I find more out about you? Is that they're like...
Yeah. But then do you do that with the same people? Because I get that too. You're the prettiest brown girl in the room I've gotten. I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like, really? But it's like, okay, why are we again limited to this box?
Correct.
It always comes down to people mean well and they want to connect. I think, I know we don't say stuff, and you even mentioned that too. You get to this place where you just feel like I'm just here on vacation. Like I'm not going to get into a 5-minute whatever with people. But then it's like, when do we say something? Then when do you say, actually, hold on a second? Right. And now, because you're obligated to answer and have this 5-minute conversation about your beautiful hair. And then the next step is, I really want to do that too. Right.
Correct.
Like I want to get that done too. And all this stuff. And you're like, okay, well, okay, good luck. Like, what do you say to that? Right. Like, what would you hope when people come to you that don't know you and aren't people of color? Because people of color don't do this. But when white people, I guess, in general, when they come to you, like, what would you hope would be the connecting point that's outside of your physical tributes?
What you like to do? Obviously, we're on vacation, so why not talk about where else you've been?
Yeah.
Where else have you guys been? And we can go down the list, right?
Yeah. Or how long are you here for?
Yeah,
or
like we could go down.
because we have something in common now. We're at the same resort, but instead we get looks like, how are y'all here? Like, how can y'all afford to be the same places I'm at? So we kind of now, because we've been in so many different awkward situations, we just make the best of it. It's almost like an accomplishment for us to be able to be in spots that make other people uncomfortable because they don't expect to see our type here.
Yeah.
Heavyset black guy with dreads, right?
Yeah.
Nobody expects to see me
Rocking a butler suite.
100%.
If anything, you should be at the 2-star resort.
Correct.
That's what people would think, right?
Correct.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
Exactly. And no one's necessarily saying that, because how do you explain the feeling? Because there's a feeling.
Correct.
Right?
And it comes from looks.
Faces.
Yeah, it comes from the looks or the faces or the stare or the quick glance or the double
or
take.
the questions that the way they ask, like, oh, you must be staying at the lower one. No, we're not. Or the staff double checking our wristbands, like just wanting to make sure, like,
that you
just
didn't
little
just wander in.
We used to get it in Vegas, like when we first started going to Vegas. When I first started going to Vegas, I used to play in the high limit rooms all the time, right? But now it's different because I have a hostess now, and the hostess takes us in. It's
we became regulars at certain spots.
Yeah.
So
But in the beginning, like,
do you know how much it is to play in here?
Right. And who are you here with?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is playing
Or
that you're,
if you ask for a drink, you have to be playing. But you just got up from a machine, it's just, they just want to make sure you're spending the same amount of money because we don't look like the people who normally go into the high limit room.
If you had a magic wand, if we had this fancy genie magic wand that we could just put out there and make a wish, in a situation like that where you're walking into that room, what is it? What do you call it? High stakes?
High limit room.
High limits? Yeah, I don't know. In that high limit room, like what would you hope again would be the way that you would be embraced?
With acceptance.
What would that look like if someone listening right now would have no idea what that accept? Because a lot of people are thinking, well, I accept. I like to think that too. And I'm sure there's a lot that I need to like learn as well. How would you describe acceptance?
There's a conversation between gamblers, right? It's always. And the first thing is, any luck today? Having any luck? Like that's the first conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it should just remain that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like when people go fishing.
Yeah.
Like you walk past somebody fishing, and you don't know these guys from Joe Blow, but the first 3 words is, "You catch anything?
Right.
Have any luck?"
Yeah, that's it.
Leave it at that.
And then see you later.
Leave it at that.
Yeah, not how. Oh, was this your first time here?
Yeah.
Or what are you doing? Or can I don't know what the thing to say to that is, but I know what that feeling is like, and I think the more we have these conversations, which I know suck sometimes because it's like you don't want to sit here and talk about this all day. But I feel personally we have to. Like we have to put these conversations out. We have to ask our loved ones, people in our close circle, challenging things. And hopefully the people that we're surrounded by want to be challenged by these things. You know, honestly, like I said, there's been a year doing this show. I've lost a couple of friends because I think they've decided I'm too much now.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you decide to speak out on how you feel.
Because I started to find my real voice, not their voice or, you know, because sometimes this whole unconscious bias, it's like acceptance means I'll accept people of color as long as they understand my language and my references and movies and like it, because it's familiarity.
Correct.
And when you see people that don't look like you don't automatically don't feel familiarity. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but whenever I go to a place, I'm always looking for and I even said the other day, I'm like, oh, I see my people there. Right? I gotta go say hi to this couple. And sometimes Bree and I talked about this too. Like Bree asked me a really good question too. She's like, do you sometimes feel that your own people, you guys turn on each other as well? And I'm like, 100%.
Yes.
There was a time where I'd be like, I'm the only brown girl in the room because it was the only way to feel like there was some kind of connection or acceptance. And then over time, it's like, no, there should be 100 of us in the fucking room helping each other out. Yeah. We can't turn on each other, but that's how the system's been built for us to, I got to step on you for me to get up here.
Correct.
But the group that we currently have is so diverse, but we also like you don't get that from the group that we have.
Yeah,
it's super dope.
Yeah,
and I think rare. And I think you said you've lost friends, and I know you've been doing this for a year, and you started your voice. But look at the group of friends that you've gained, and this is how I view things. Right, once I stepped away from the group of friends who I was trying to fit in with before, and we stopped that.
Yeah.
I stopped trying to fit in, and then I found a group of friends who truly accept me, authentic me. Mm-hmm. Like me and Carrie have a conversation almost every morning on his way to work. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this or not.
I'm not there, but I know you guys like by 10 or something like that. You guys have some kind of, we
talk like every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah. I know you called him before we left asking him, what are we packing?
Yeah.
I overheard that. I was like, that's adorable.
Yeah. Like we have good, like me and Carrie have a really good relationship, and it's more than just work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's told me, hey man, if you ever have anything that you really need to talk about, mental health wise, whatever, call me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we can talk.
See, that's dudes. That just in itself is about men. Yeah. Like, you know, there's a whole different area here about men and the toxicity of like masculinity and how men have to be. But now you have two men of different color coming together and saying, this isn't about our color. This is about we're humans and we feel. 100%. We have man issues and we need to open up. So thank you for your middle fingers up, you guys.
Absolutely.
I want to know about your story. So this is what this platform is about, is sharing stories of humans that every day are going through the things that we sort of touched on, life, and also like helping the rest of us that are listening and part of this movement, just educating ourselves about what it is to be curious. I think that's a big thing. Like we often live with a lot of judgment. And I'm learning a lot of that judgment is because it's something that we've projected on ourselves and we think, oh, what are other people going to think? But often this is actually how I feel. So for me, this is really cool to be able to sit down with you two, as I said earlier, to get to know your stories. I'm going to ask you, Bree. I changed it up and I'm sorry, but I'm like, I'm going to start with you first. People wouldn't know this. This is audio. I want to know because you are someone that comes from mixed race background. Mm-hmm. So what was it like navigating your identity as someone who is half Black, quarter Mexican, quarter white? Mm-hmm. And you were raised in a predominantly white family.
Correct.
Right? Your mom's mom.
So my mom's mom is Mexican, but my granny, which is her mom, had got a divorce with my grandpa a long time ago. So my grandma that I was raised by is white. And like her family is like Irish. And then my mom is Mexican and white. But I was raised with her white side of the family.
Your grandfather.
Yeah, so like my grandfather, I've always lived with my grandfather off and on my whole life.
Right.
Grandpa, and then I'm the first Black person like inside of my family.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say anybody helped me like know who I actually was. It was just never was spoken about. It was, to me, there was no difference between our skin tones up until like I got around Black people. And they were telling me like how white I was. Like I was too white to fit in with them.
Yeah.
The way I spoke, the way I carried myself was too white girl for them. But then I was too Black for the white girls. So like middle school really just kind of opened my eyes a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
How so?
I just didn't fit in.
Yeah.
So I had to, middle school, I say open my eyes, but I went through a phase where I tried to hang out with all the white girls.
Right.
Tried to hang out with all the Black girls. I tried to be friends with the Mexicans. And none of it worked. Failed friendship after failed friendship. And I felt like the oddball out.
Right. And then you're going home to a white family.
Correct.
So you're not connecting with the kids at school.
Right.
And connecting because of your color.
Right. Again, too white for the Black girls and too Black for the white girls.
How do you make sense of that?
I didn't for a long time.
Was your family able to make sense of that when you go home?
No. Again, it just never was spoken about.
Yeah.
To this day, like it's a lot of conversations I don't have with my grandfather because he is closed-minded and he's not a racist. He's a really cool guy. He just looks at things differently than how he should. Mm-hmm. So racial conversations weren't a thing in my family.
Yeah.
My mom never really had them with us. I don't think she ever talked to my brother about the dangers of being a Black man. Mm-hmm. I think her boyfriend ended up talking to him, throughout the closer they got.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was something missing? Like, do you feel like there was a conversation that was needed at that time when you look back now, or
I think
maybe
it
not?
would have been helpful to know before just being thrown into a world that still is racist.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have been nice to know you do look different, but different is not bad. Mm. You are who you are and you should be proud of it. Like my grandma would like always straighten my hair because that was the easiest way for her to do it. My mom would always put it in twists because that's the only way she knew how to do it.
Right.
It just wasn't like I never got to embrace curls.
Yeah.
I never got to embrace like natural hair. My mom would always put like a relaxer on my hair.
Right.
Because when it was in its natural state, it was too much to deal with. Because even growing up, I wasn't aware of like, it's a whole group of like biracial kids out there too.
Yeah.
It was Black and white.
Yeah.
And it's not. Like I met Black and Asian, Black and Indian, Black and, like it's so many different mixed kids out there as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that had to do with, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go.
I think a lot of that had to do with where you were raised at, like in Amarillo, right? It's predominantly white people, right?
So where I'm from is super white and Mexicans only.
Only, correct.
I spent one night in Amarillo because there's a country song about it when we did a road trip. So it was Sunday and everything was closed.
Amarillo,
so I got a really good sense of what kind of community that was. Religious community. I get it. Yeah. Amarillo in the morning. Yes. Yeah.
And then coming from that, then going down to Houston,
which is like a melting pot,
which is super diverse, right?
Yeah.
How old were you?
Like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, going from like a super predominantly white your entire life. And then at 7,
even the family in Amarillo like was super country. Well, they're again Mexicans and white. My grandpa's sister married a Mexican, so all their kids are mixed with Mexicans. So Mexicans in the family,
right?
But that's what I knew, white Mexicans, and everybody's just so genuine and open arms. Like, it was never like, like you look differently, or they treated me differently because of how I looked.
Yeah.
I think I told you I had a super racist great-grandfather.
Yes.
And he used to have Mexicans who worked for him, and he would always use slurs and talk down on them. And then when my mom got pregnant, like she was so scared to tell anybody that the baby was going to come out Black because there was no Black baby in the family. Like,
right.
But it ultimately changed my grandfather because he fell in love with me the very first time he seen me. Like, it was no room to be mad, or he never questioned her or judged her. Like, it really changed him for the better.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of what I'm hearing though too is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some of what I'm hearing too is that there wasn't conversation about the different colors. Is that because your family was trying to feel, sometimes we say we're colorblind in a way to feel equal, but then we realize later, wait a minute, we have to recognize
honestly
how that goes.
It might have been, I don't have a relationship with my father. Never really knew his family. Don't know anything to do with that side. So I don't know if they were trying to like keep me safe from something I never had.
Right.
Or not, or maybe having questions that they can't answer. Like, I've asked about my father, and my mom gets so, like, when I was younger, she used to get so, like, squirmy. Like, I just don't think it was something that they felt comfortable talking about.
Yeah. At what age did you look in the mirror and start to see, oh, I'm white, I'm Mexican, I'm black?
I've always.
You always knew, because you would look very different, I would imagine, than so, everyone else in the family.
The applications, when it's like, mark what you are, and I'd be like other, because it's like biracial. I'm tri-racial.
Yeah.
So I used to tell people that when I was young, I'm tri-racial.
Right.
Just because it sounded cooler.
Yeah. Well, and also it brings the context to, oh yeah, there's more than just, again, like we started to get flexible and think, oh, people that are biracial can fit here, but then we don't really think, oh yeah, there's so much more to what that can mean, right? Like you can come from all different places, and whether you're biracial, tri-racial or not, so many different ways that we can look. And I think that's the other thing, is people probably wouldn't care to ask because they would maybe assume
that I'm black.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%. I did.
Right.
When you told me, I was like, oh, what?
But see, I don't take offense to any of it. I used to take offense to, all my life people hated how I spoke. So I take, like that's something I would take offense to. Or my skin tone is my skin tone. I sit there and I battle like with his brother all the time. I'm lighter than you. I'm darker than you. Like, it is what it is. You get what you get. Like, my skin tone doesn't necessarily change who I am, because even though I'm black, I'm not your typical black girl.
Yeah.
And the same goes the other way. Like, I have a white family, but I'm not what, like a typical product of a white family.
Totally. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What do you see? Because Charles, you two have been dating for some time now. And so meeting Bree and learning about her, would there be different parts of her characteristics or her background that you see come out in conversation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, she's not the typical black girl. So certain things that inside of a relationship that I see very different from other black women that I've dated.
Right.
Completely different, and it comes from the white side of her family.
Yeah,
it's not a negative thing.
Totally,
I don't want this to. It's a negative thing.
Right.
It's a positive thing, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
He was so scared to meet my family.
Yeah,
for the longest.
I didn't go around for a while.
My family's super loving, so they've always, like, whenever I told them, like, oh, I'm in love, like, I'm moving in with this guy, like, we're going out the country, they naturally wanted to meet him. They wanted him to come for dinner, come to the birthday parties. He was just so closed off because of prior situations.
Yeah.
But now, like, I ask him to this day, they've been around each other for over a year now.
Right.
Like, do you still feel comfortable around them?
Yeah.
And he tells me, yeah, like, they're nothing like what he expected them to be.
I go over there without you.
Right.
Yeah. Your kids go over there without you there, right?
Yeah.
So what was that change like for you to get that kind of an experience?
It was definitely eye-opening, right?
Yeah.
I was raised by someone who was born in 1906. So I had this stigma that was placed into me about Caucasian race, right?
Yeah.
And not having many positive interactions throughout the years. And then you meet a family who's completely on the other end of the spectrum, right?
Right.
Super loving, super open, super.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, snap. Like, they're actually really cool people.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem coming around.
How do you make sense of that? Because so you were adopted. Your like a great aunt, essentially. An aunt would be more grandma. How would you identify? Cool. I mean, I know you call your mom. You were adopted by, but she was 80. 82. Was she not when she adopted you?
82 years
old.
And
she knew your mom, your biological mom. So what was the relationship between
So my mother, the lady who adopted me, and my biological grandmother were like second cousins. Mm-hmm. So but the lady who adopted me used to look after my biological grandmother. So she was older than my biological grandmother. Yeah.
Wow. So you get adopted, and so she teaches you a bit of your history.
Correct.
And you grow up thinking, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, super strong, and like, because that's the type of, she came from an area where you pass down the history. Like, it wasn't something that we didn't talk about.
Right.
Or wasn't part of a conversation. Like if she felt the need for me to know, she would tell me.
Right. Yeah. Can you share some of the things that you learned growing up about your history that you hold close, or that you teach your kids about?
A lot of it has to do with just morals, right?
Yeah.
And hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Right. That was like one of her key things instilled into me. Hey, if you're going to do something, do it 100%, completely. And do it to the best of your ability, and know that you've done it to the best of your ability. And take satisfaction in that.
Right.
Right. Regardless if it doesn't meet the standard of you or anyone else or other people, it met your standard.
Right.
Take satisfaction.
Yeah. And then those are some things that you learned. Yet there are other parts of your history that you learned that maybe clash with what you're about to go do, which is maybe meet Bree's family here. Yeah. And so you said you kind of walked out of that having a bit of a different take on that. So what stood out for you when you met her family and started to spend more time with them?
And not all white people have this negative stigma around them, right? They don't have this, well, he's just a colored kid. And matter of fact, it's funny that you say that. One of her mother's coworker had the negative stigma, and she's Black.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
We just had our housewarming.
Yeah.
This lady's like, my mom's had the same job for like
nice lady though.
Years.
Very nice lady.
Yeah. Shout out to the nice lady.
Yeah. So she's kind of known me as I grown up.
Yeah.
So we invite her to the housewarming. They come.
She's been to our club before.
Yeah, she came to the club. She, she's cool people. But she comes and she tells Charles, like, I thought you were a drug dealer. And it was like, I haven't talked to her about this. So it's just my mom talking to her. And my mom instantly was like, I never told her that. Like, I never told her that you were a drug dealer.
Yeah.
But it was just that stigma. Like, how do you put something so negatively on somebody who does so much positive?
Yeah.
It's just because he's a Black man with a decent amount of money for his age.
Right.
It's like, the only way you can have that is if you're doing something illegal.
On the side, yeah.
Yeah. Again, she's a super nice lady, so we didn't take offense from her.
Zero offense.
It just was like eye-opening. How does somebody just put another career on you?
Well, and someone from your own community.
Correct.
I think that's when sometimes it stings, because you hope to not expect it from your own community, because we're all you're all fighting the same fight. We're fighting the same fight. However, honestly, I did that a few times at work with Indian people of, like, maybe we shouldn't be hiring this person because I don't know if they'll be able to work in these high pressure crises. And I have a friend who would still bring it up to me and say, you're the one that used to always say this. And it's like, yeah, I did. But I also feel like for this nice lady we're giving a shout out to, not to play devil's advocate, but kind of too, is that you're taught with this systemic approach to turn on your own people. And you're taught when there are these stereotypes, I know my parents were like, we're not going to fall under these stereotypes. And so we would work and push hard the opposite way. But I mean, it worked in some ways, but it wasn't helpful, because then it just, I think, kind of makes the stereotype become more powerful.
Correct.
Because we all think that this is the drug dealer guy, or she's not going to work hard, or he's this way. And it's, I don't know, I feel bad for our communities when that has to happen. I have family members too that will talk about immigrants, our own people that come in. And, I think there has to be a better way to teach immigrants too. Like when we have people immigrating to different countries, like most people are leaving their home because it's a safety issue, not really because they want to. And for many of those people, it's an adjustment. And they're not necessarily coming with having done, their trip advisor, learning about how we read up about the resort. You're just trying to get to some place to get your kids a roof over their head. And so you're not necessarily, I think, adapting to the Western culture in the same way. And so then we start getting mad at our own people. Mm. We have to not be part of that problem because the Western people, the Caucasian people, already that's still happening, and now we're people of color also supporting that. So then when they look to us, they think, yeah, well, you think that way, so it must actually be true.
Correct, right? But not to receive that from the grandparent.
Yeah, from your own. Yeah.
To get it from my own, but not receive it from the grandparents. Like he instantly understood somewhat of what I did, and it was like, oh. And it wasn't even about that. It was more of like, oh, he's a good guy. Yeah. He's helping you excel in life.
Right. Yeah, he's helping you grow. Like he loves to pieces, and he's seeing that you're doing well.
They're genuinely so happy and proud of me. They love Charles. They love his kids. It took me a while to...
And they don't have to spoil it too much anymore.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because she talked about how in the beginning, that was a big...
And they joke around all the time. Like, my grandpa would tell him, like, I see her coming over here, but you can't drop her back off. They're stuck with it.
It's a day pass, just a quick little visit. She's going home, right?
But they're so happy, and, like, they love Charles. Like, he's part of the family, his kids. Like, they'd do anything for any of them. Our housewarming, they specifically got him his own gift. They genuinely love him.
You feel it?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And I came from I was married once before.
Yeah, okay.
And it was a family so I'm really cautious, and I watch whoever I'm with, their family. There's a family of takers.
Yeah.
Family full of women, none of them married, like just a family full of takers.
Yeah.
So I was marrying a taker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm super cautious when I look at
right.
So they were white, so that had that.
Yeah.
And I had this bad experience before.
Right.
And then to see a completely different outcome was like mind blowing.
Yeah, I think also I would imagine instill some hope as well that, okay, we can grow, and we see these examples where we have loved ones and family members that are not of the same community or color, yet so inviting. And do it in a way, just like we talked about right at the beginning of that, why do we have to pull the race card immediately? Like, can you get to know me outside of that? And it sounds like that's really what happened here, is genuinely getting to know you in a way that you feel embraced.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, me and Bree met because she used to manage the bar that I owned. Right?
Yeah.
And I guess she started at the bar maybe a month later. It sounds crazy. It's going to sound crazy, but maybe like a month later, she was moving in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's fast.
So something super fast, right?
Yeah.
And he used to ask me all the time, like, what does your grandparents think?
Yeah.
But he didn't want to meet them. Like, he was not.
But he cared. He had the gentleman, so he still cared. So,
the first time they met was my birthday dinner last year.
Right.
And we did like this Texas Roadhouse Steakhouse dinner, whatever. But Charles had a business meeting the same time. So he came, he dropped me off. He gave me his debit card so he could pay. And it's like a group of 10 of us, like friends, family, everything. And at the end, like Charles tells me, like, pay with my card. Like, do not let your, even though I'm not going to be there, make sure you pay for their meal, because that's not who I am to make your grandparents come out to eat and not.
Yeah.
And when I did, like, I think my grandpa really realized the kind of man he was, because that's something he would do.
Yeah.
I tell Charles all the time, I see so much of my grandfather in him. And I love that they get together. Yeah. And they go off and they have their own man-to-man conversations about man things.
Right. Yeah.
But it's
mostly about you.
It's just such a good feeling to see the only man in my life, or the only consistent man I've ever looked up to, has accepted the partner that I do want to spend the rest of my life with.
That makes a big difference.
A huge difference. Yeah. And I think it gives Charles a different perspective. Like, even going out here, he's not closed-minded, like, oh, all these white people are racist. Like, look at them all looking at me. No, he has a perspective where some of them are cool. Yeah. And he's willing to spark a conversation with anybody. Yeah. And he'll find out if you're cool or not within that conversation.
Right. Yeah, he'll assess it, right? And you're in your own. Sure. And you don't have to. And I think that's the part you were saying at the beginning, where it's finding your own way to take that in and say something, but also having your power, because we talked about in the beginning where it's having to openly have to come out every time and say something. Like, people, as friendly and great as everyone is, we don't always want to be educated. We don't want someone every time to say to us, hey, like, I, sometimes can't pronounce words. And I know someone that really likes to make sure is a corrector, correct you, almost like a teacher, right? But correct you. And I find that sometimes, like, I get my insecurities come out being around this person, because I'm like, well, sometimes my words don't come out right. And I mean well, but I think when we think we're better than people and we're in these conversations, I think that's where it becomes a little difficult. And I don't get that vibe from you at all. I think that's lovely that you're able to hang out with Grandpa, but also your own little way of, am I going to open up or am I not?
Correct.
That's a me thing, and you do you. And that's the whole thing, is like, even these conversations, like, we can't change people's mind. People can't change my mind. But I know what's been helpful for me is when I learn about people and I learn about their stories, it helps me grow, and it helps me look at my story and think, oh my gosh, this person's resilience or the way they handle that is going to help me now, because I may be in a situation, or, asking myself, am I growing? Am I walking into a conversation with judgment, or am I walking into a conversation with curiosity? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about for you, Bree, meeting Charles's family. Mm-hmm. So what was that like for you?
I was nervous because, again, they're all older. So when we flew down there, Charles makes it a point to go by all his brothers, all his sisters, family, friends. We just hit all the good stops. So whenever he told me, like, they're older, I was like, okay, but I didn't really know what to expect. And then actually going in, like, Jean and Leo, they're like our first stop all the time. And they're in their late 80s, about to be 90 in the next couple of years. And that's
like between 45-ish years older than you, 40 years older than you. Like, let's just set the you're not even in your 40s yet.
No. So they're almost at least 50 years older than him. I want to say his sister just 50. Turned 86.
Yeah, 50 years older than me.
Yeah. So you pretty much grew up at our only child.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, for the
most
part.
Also spoiled. Okay,
spoiled.
Yeah. So when you pull up, meet them.
So when I met them, I treated them like, like just super respectful.
Yeah.
Like, but I was super scared to tell them my age because, again, there's a 50 years gap in them.
Yeah.
There's like a 70-year gap between us. So it just... But they're really happy for him now. I think they see a big difference between me and his ex-wife. And I think his whole family kind of had trust issues within the last wife. So some of them were a little like reserved, but I've met them a couple of times. I think they kind of open up more and more each time I go around.
Right.
I want to say they're happy for us.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things for you? Because going back to the age gap, Bree makes a good point. So you and Bree have a little bit of an age gap. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the
small one?
It's just a tiny little one. Yeah, nothing.
It's a decade plus.
Just neon colors to whatever you did. 2000s was belly shirts and low jeans. Is that what we did?
Yeah. So like I see his pictures all the time when he was like my age, and he's got these like super big white t-shirts and like these shorts that look like pants on them
because they're so low.
Yeah. So I'm like, what were you wearing? Like, he's like, that was the style. Like, you're not for my generation. But I think the age it was it's some things we had to work on for sure.
Yeah.
Because on top of the age gap, he was raised by a traditional woman to be a traditional man.
Yeah.
And I'm raised by a modern woman who had just seen a little bit of the traditional side in other relationships.
Right.
So we had to find our way, which we still do every day.
Yeah.
We still kind of try to figure it out. But the last relationship, she was 13 years older than him.
Oh, okay.
So I think it gives him a good perspective on how he was when it was reversed. Because it's the same age gap. So sometimes like I have to tell him, oh, I think you're doing this or that. And he'll like take a step back and he'll reflect, oh, I never want to be that way. Like, I remember her being this way to me. So I never want to make you feel that way.
Right.
So it's just learning to communicate and knowing like with the age gap, we do think differently, but that doesn't mean we can't get along.
Totally.
Like,
yeah. You bring in, I think, both sort of fresh perspectives, and it's not same. Do you see a gap for yourself, Charles? Like when you were growing up and your adoptive mom was 82 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, I couldn't even imagine at 42 having another baby, because how tiring would that be?
Right.
So did she do all that on her own?
Yeah, she did. I call him my brother, but he was in the house at that point in time. Him and his sister were in the house with her. So I think they helped out a little bit, but she pretty much did everything on her own.
So it's funny because the brother he's talking about is who we travel with.
Yeah.
So his brother's 44 years old. So you can only imagine at the time Charles comes into the house, his brother's like 8 years old. Mm. So from 8 till now, like his brother has played a huge part of his life.
Even naming me.
Yeah.
Wow, he named you.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know why Charles?
Ray Charles, I think, is what he told me.
Oh, he was a fan of Ray Charles, and that's
I don't know if he was a fan. I think he just heard it. My brother's really like...
Well, because he was so little, right? He's 8 years old, so he got to... Yeah, but I mean, at that time, you think, like, even your kid's age is like 8 is... You're a baby. Right. What do you know? Right. But that baby helped shape who you are.
100%. Even to where I am at this point in my life.
Business side.
Yeah, my brother helped me out tremendously. Yeah. Tremendously.
So you feel like he filled the gap a bit in terms of,
100%. I have my sister's husband, who I call my father. I call him dad.
Oh, right? Your sister's husband.
My sister's husband. I call him dad because I doesn't have a relationship with him. And me and him have a very eccentric relationship, right? Like I call him dad, but there's like no real father, father-son relationship type. Yeah. And he's not a man of many words anyway, so he's more of an action type of guy, just in general. But my brother kind of helped fill those gaps. Yeah. Like I would call him, ask him for advice. I would call my brother and ask him for what should I do in this situation, and that type of thing.
So your mom essentially taught you what it is to be a man, because we talk about your traditional views of, I know this because the first time I met you, you opened my car door for me and I literally almost fell to the ground because I'm like, I don't know the last time anyone offered to open I don't even like to open my door, let alone someone else. And, that kind of was the first observation. Then throughout, it's like the whole chivalry's not dead sort of thing, which I know we have a lot of controversy with women and, feminism, all this stuff. And so I'm not trying to say anything's better than anything. I will always appreciate a gentleman, a man that knows what it takes to take care of himself and the people around him. And even if those things are opening little car doors or it just ways to make you feel special. So all of those characteristics came from your mom then?
Every last bit of it came from
So what was important to her? Because I would imagine she doesn't know how much time she has with you. How much time does she have with you?
13 years.
13 years. So in those...
It's crazy. A lot of 13s in this conversation.
Yeah, there is a lot of 13s, right? 13 years older, 13 years younger. You have a kid that's like entering, isn't your son is a year older than that. He's 14.
No, he's 13.
Oh, he is 13. 14. There you go. A lot of 13s. Lucky number. Yeah, time to go gambling, I guess.
Let's go.
Yeah, right? So in her short time, she had a lot of work to do with you.
Correct.
What do you think was one of the most important things for her in hoping before she went, she had that instilled or had that with you?
I think that she wanted to instill for me to be a good person, right? Or be a man, be a stand-up man. I think that was probably the most important thing, and be able to provide for myself and whoever I had with me, right?
With a good heart.
100%. My mother is like, she was a person who believed in extending herself as far as she possibly could to help others around her.
To help anybody.
Because she knew that it would come back in return. Like I took Bree last time we went to my mother's grave for right before Mother's Day, was it?
It was right before her birthday.
Right before her birthday, in August. And I took her to go see one of her friends that used to live across the street. This lady, Miss Hattie Moss, she just turned 100 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, in September.
Yeah, she just turned 100 years old. And I took Bree to meet her.
I was in tears, girl.
Even she had stories about my mother. She's like, that was a woman and a half. Like that.
The way she spoke about this lady made me feel like I knew her. Like she spoke so highly of her. Like she would take in anybody kid. She would watch anybody kid. She would help out anywhere. Like
Why do you think that was the way for her? Like, why would an 82-year-old woman decide to adopt a little guy?
Well, I know one of the reasons had something to do with her last husband. She didn't have, so, legacy was super important for people of that era, right? So her last husband and her didn't have any kids. When she passed, nobody's going to be able to carry the last name Johnson. Mm. So it was important that she had a boy to carry that last name of Johnson.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Wow. And that's why she decided to take you in.
That's correct.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So when you're learning about this woman, are you like connecting the dots and seeing a lot of Charles in this conversation?
Yeah, for sure. The way he speaks about her explains a lot about him.
Yeah.
A lot. I've been used before, so I have a super I'm not one to try to help too many people anymore. I don't see the benefit anymore because I've been screwed over so many times.
Yeah.
But then he's like the complete opposite. His mom has raised him to help who you can help. Mm-hmm. And he knows he's been blessed to be put in a position where he can help people without it hurting him.
Right.
So it took some growing to do on my end to learn what, it's just who you are. Mm-hmm. It was a situation before we came on vacation, and I deep down knew he would have done it just because he wouldn't have been able to live with the outcome, mm-hmm. even though it had literally nothing to do with him. Mm-hmm. And he had every reason not to help. He still helped because it's who his mama wanted him to be. Mm-hmm. And it's all that, he always tells me, my mama would roll in her grave if she found out that I didn't help or that I allowed. It's just the smallest things.
Yeah.
That make the biggest difference.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and I think it's why you two are together. It's also why
for sure
you give so much to the kids, to your kids, because I see how we call her the boss when it comes to the kids. But for many people entering a new relationship and your partner has kids, I'm sure it's quite a process to go from having 0 kids of your own to this is happening.
2 teenagers, it's
right?
A lot.
Who say you're old,
right? Right. And even when I first met Charles. I told you I went through the stage after the friends where I was like, I don't want any friends. I don't want any guy friends. I'm not dating anymore. Nothing.
Because you had been burned, people.
Yeah, just never getting the same kind of energy that I give people or the same kind of love that I give people. And I was just over it. And then I met him and he was so kind and so gentle. He's not that no more.
I'm about to say was. He
caught that.
When we would leave the club, anybody working for him, if they were leaving, he would walk them all the way downstairs to their car because he knew the dangers of women walking to their cars late at night.
Right.
By themselves.
Yeah.
So he made it a point, every woman walking to their car, opening every door for me. We were going on dates and he was paying for everything. No matter who was with us. It could be 7 of us and he paid for everything.
Wow.
So it just was little things that he was showing
flexing,
me.
Though.
Yeah.
Not flexing.
Yeah.
Not at all. Just wanting people to have a good time with them. He just showed me so different. I've never seen a man in my life other than my grandfather do these kind of things for me.
Right.
Yeah,
I do know. And I know because I understand.
Yeah.
Both of you have that in common, that you grew up without your fathers in the picture. You had father figures maybe here and there, but no fathers. And I would imagine that would have shaped who you both are today too.
It does.
Yeah. What kind of impact do you feel that has on kids growing up without having their dad with them?
I think you have to break it down into women and men too. Yeah. I think not having a father for men shows them everything they need to be. It might be a way harder path for them, but in the end, they end up doing everything they wish they had.
If they accept it that way and not use it as an excuse to
become
be
the
a
same
tyrant,
exact
right?
way.
Yeah. Excuse as in, I don't know better because I didn't have anyone showing me.
But nobody did it for me, so I'm not going to do it for mine.
Yeah.
You get that. You get a lot of that. Right?
That does happen, right?
But instead of taking it as a learning experience, I didn't have this, but this is what I missed during this time frame.
Right.
So let me do this.
How did you get there?
What was instilled into me as a young child?
Your mom played mom and dad for you.
It wasn't, you don't cry over what you don't have.
Yeah.
You take what you have and you make whatever the best spread you could possibly make.
I'm going to tell you something personal.
Please. Okay.
With the woman he has kids with, if he wasn't raised to be like, oh, this is my responsibility, he has every reason to not be there, to not be a stand-up, and to not be a good father because of who he had kids with.
Yeah.
And yet he still, because of his mom, was like, no, this is my responsibility. This is my family.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for the life that they need to live. And he continued that up until now. Like, no matter what he does with what he has to do as a man, and he doesn't complain.
Yeah.
He might talk a little shit, but he won't complain.
Well, I think every parent has a right to talk all the shit you want about 100%. Your kids. That's venting, right?
Every man. Because if you think about what men do, it's not easy. Yeah. Like, what woman would want to go to work and then come home and all the money they made give to kids and why? Who wants to do that? Mm-hmm. So I understand why he has a right to feel.
Yeah.
You have the right to be frustrated at times, because I know the weight of the world does get heavy. Yeah. But to have a man who is okay with carrying it is a whole different kind of feeling.
Well, it almost takes us back to the beginning of the conversation when I asked you, how would you want people to approach you? And you're like, be a human. Mm-hmm. Ask me, did you catch anything today? Mm-hmm. Don't start with, how did you get your hair like that? Yeah. And to me, I see a similar with your past. It's like, you served a purpose, and that was one thing, which was the bank, the providing and those kinds of things, versus you have a lot more, there's more to you than just here, let's go buy these things. And honestly, like, I don't know you that well, but sometimes people leave lasting impressions on you. And I think any of us that get to meet people in our life in a short period of time that do that, I just think we're on the right path, and we're blessed that we meet people in a short time. You're like, oh, I just feel connected, or I really appreciate seeing that in you. And the few conversations we've had, I can tell now more and more why you share the things about your son in the way you do, because this is a first time experience, not having a dad, but being a dad to a teenager.
Correct.
I think a baby, whatever, but a little easier, but he's a man now, or at least he likes to think he is.
100%.
And do you see some of that come up for you where you're like, oh, wait a minute, how do I figure this out? I didn't have that.
I do. At times I do. But she gets on me all the time because I equate him to me, right? I was the type of kid that, like, I'm going to figure it out, right? I'm going to do whatever I need to do to just kind of figure it out. Yeah. And she says, that's not him. But as I see him, he's a splitting image of me. He's a bigger kid. Like, he looks like me. Yeah. You should figure this. You should have the same.
Yeah.
Their circumstances are just very different.
Okay, tell us about that. Tell us about that.
So, like, Charles, everything he learned was instilled by 13.
Yep.
But then everything he endured from 13 until now was a lot to do with what he had to go without. Mm. Whether that was a supporting family, people coming to cheer you on at your game, or just any little thing that maybe a child would have liked at the time that he didn't have. So he naturally just is more nature versus nurture. He had to survive with his circumstances. Yeah. But now he's blessed enough that his kids will not learn the same lessons he learned, especially the same way he learned them.
Right.
It wouldn't be fair. I tell him all the time, one, I want him to reflect before he acts. Mm-hmm. I think that would change a lot of his reactions if he had a time to just think about it versus just reacting. Yeah. And two, just to realize, like, on top of them not being the same kind of kids he was, this is a whole different generation.
That's true too.
Like, these kids are so different. You ask them to put the dishes up and you get all kinds of
Does that mean the pots too?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
It's
like
this, right?
Like right now?
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm tired.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would you make me do that?
But then he was raised like, go mow the front and backyard, feed the animals, come in and help me get dinner started.
And no complaining.
Because you got hit if you did.
That's right. The shoe coming at you. I had the wooden spoon, but I don't know.
Switch.
And part of this is his fault. I'm going to say him and their mother's fault. Only because when you spoil a child so much and then you expect them to have the same humble roots as you did, you went without everything.
Yeah.
They've never gone without anything. So y'all's perspectives and mindsets are completely different. You know, like what's important to them is that they get the new shoes when they drop so they can wear it to their friend's house. What was important to you was making sure you had dinner to eat at night.
Right.
Or the fact that you could go to sleep with all the pain that you've been enduring over the period of 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. When you've said this to me now a couple times about different circumstances, and I appreciate how you explain that, because it also goes to remind me about like our parents' generations and the ones above, like they had to fight for so much and fight for us to be here. I even will never get to experience what they went through.
Correct.
You know, like even if you think of discrimination and all that, what they went to, like my grandpa had to cut his turban off to be able to make $5 an hour when he came to Canada. Like he had to get rid of his, let go of his religion, right? And your identity. And I necessarily didn't have to feel it in the pain in the same way. And now, like you said, when we look at our kids, you're right, they're in a different place. I knew I had to clean that house. I had rituals. My mom made sure we did. And I'm very fortunate when my kids get up and get their shit done like we ask, right? And I have to yell at them 100 times. What would you say with all that though, Bree, with a different circumstance? Like, I think that's a really wise way to look at parenting today. How, for those of us that maybe are struggling to do that, like what would be one way that we can accept that we are living in different circumstances when we're raising our kids? You want to add something, don't you, to that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It would be so hard for them to understand.
But what about for us as parents? Like what advice could you give us parents though that we could do to, because I miss that too. I forget that too.
Just to remember you were their age at a point. Like you went through similar feelings for the first time. You went through times where you didn't want to help your mom. You didn't want to go out and sweat. You didn't want to or you wanted to go party when your mom, like my mom I feel so bad now, but I told you she had a lot of surgeries in a short period of time. I'm like 15 years old and she's like in the hospital thinking she's about to lose her life. And I'm telling her like, I want to go to this party. And I went.
Right.
Like that was my priority. My mom was in the hospital dying. Like I apologize to her all the time.
Yeah.
But as a child, your mind just doesn't register the difference between the two. So like with us, I try to create balance because he's real hard. So after he's hard, I try to go back and re-explain it to him in a way he can understand.
Right.
Because a lot of times kids aren't going to understand when you're talking about their future and this, that, the third. So then I go back and I'm like, do you understand why we said what we said? Or I'll be more specific. Like you did this specifically that made him feel this way. Or how you did this and what you said is what made him mad, because we don't say anything like that when you ask for something.
Right.
When you need something of us, we don't sit there and complain and, oh, can I take you next week?
Yeah.
You know, you expect us to do it right then and there. Whenever you're hungry, dinner's made for you. You don't have to struggle with anything.
Yeah.
So the only thing you have to do is focus on communicating what you want to say so he can understand, because he's a real understanding person.
Yeah.
But what you're not going to do is disrespect him and make him feel like he's stupid.
Yeah.
So if you can't come to him and explain what you're trying to say without doing those two, then it's going to elevate into something.
Right. You were going to add something in there. Do you want to go there?
Because I was raised like differently probably than
me too. Like you were different. Yeah,
I was raised very differently than Bree.
Me as well.
I couldn't have survived the childhood he grew up in.
Yeah.
I couldn't. So I know for a fact his kids can't. Like,
But it was instilled in me that you owe it to the people before you, that you owe it to your grandfather who had to cut his turban off to work. Oh, your grandfather or father?
Yes, grandfather. Yeah.
Grandfather. You owe it to him.
Yeah.
Because he endured something so you don't have to today.
Right.
You owe it to them to do everything you possibly can to be better, right? Succeed, clean the house, whatever is given to you, you owe it to. Like I owe it to my mother to be the best person I can possibly be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know that now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You knew that at 13 though.
Yeah,
like that's that's kind of anomaly. I'm sure people that will be listening and will relate, but I think there's a majority of us that wouldn't, because we learn through experience. And yet at such a young age, you had this kind of relationship with your mom that you knew. And I don't know if you knew at a young age she's going to go soon. Like, I don't have that much time with her. I don't know, because kids often don't think of those things either.
I didn't. She used to tell me certain things. I like to kind of prepare me.
Yeah.
I think she used to say, hey, I ain't going to be here forever.
Yeah.
But while I'm here, I need you to listen.
Right. Was she gentle with you? Or
no.
was she was both. She was both.
She was both.
She could be tough, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tear my butt up. Oh yeah. But she would take the time. Well, not take the time. She would just talk to me.
Yeah.
Even after I got in trouble, like after she done her punishment, like,
yeah,
you need to listen to what I'm telling you, because I'm not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be tough for you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she took those times to have those took that time to have those type of conversations with me.
Yeah.
Because it molded me into who I am today.
Right.
Like, it set the foundation.
You feel like she's with you, hey?
100%.
Yeah.
She'll tell you, like, 100%. Like, I keep her picture by the bed.
Yeah.
Like, I am like a mama's boy through and through. You know what I mean?
If she was here today, what would you want to tell her?
Oh, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Like, it's times when we go places and I'm like, man, this would be so dope if I could take my mother. Like I want her to see what I've become and then take her along with me for the ride.
Yeah. And like, I'll kind of get her investment of, I instilled this in my son, and look at what I also get to have back. Yeah.
Yes,
you think she's, as you said, she's with you. She's watching you. She's feeling it. Hey.
Oh, I've been blessed. I've been truly blessed in my child life. So I know that she is.
What did you do at the age of 13 when she passed? Who were your go-to people?
None. I didn't have any.
So what happened after she passed away?
So when she passed away, I went to live with my sister in LA for a few years. That was kind of rocky. Then they shipped me off to Texas to live with my biological mother that I did not know. Never met the lady. Like, didn't know this lady. So they just came and was like, hey, you want to go meet your biological mother? I'm like, no, not really. So, well, just go down for the summer and meet her. And then I get there and it's like, oh, no, you're not coming back. It was a one-way ticket type thing. So I held a lot of animosity towards my siblings for a long time for that.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Right. I can appreciate that 100%. You were lied to, and you're in, what were you, 16, 17?
Yeah, I was like
14, 15.
like 15.
Yeah, so this is like 15. Just a couple years after the loss of your mom.
Yeah.
Living with your whole different surrounding. LA's different than
that small country town in Louisiana, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's where you were born and raised, was Louisiana.
Yeah.
So big difference.
100%. Went from a country lifestyle to a city's gang-infested lifestyle.
Right.
And I had to navigate that.
Yeah.
After losing your mother.
Right. Did you start to feel a sense of belonging in when you're saying navigating that? What does that mean?
No, that just means finding my way, right?
Yeah.
Sticking, like I was taught up until that age, stick to your roots, like find your way through without being too involved in certain things.
Right. So then you go and live with your mom for a bit, your biological mother?
No, so they sent me down and it, the summertime was coming to an end and I flew back to LA. I called my brother, his mom, and I had a girlfriend at that time. I called and they helped me purchase a ticket. I worked in the summer down here. Yeah. Down in Texas.
Yeah.
Saved up a few bucks. My auntie kind of helped me arrange those things. And they put me on a plane and I went back to LA.
What was that like for you when you went and saw your bio mom and kind of visited with her for a bit?
It was surreal, right? Because I saw a lifestyle that I actually could have been living versus what I lived. And
it was, what would you say that when you say that, what does that mean?
A complete 180, right? Yeah. They lived in the projects. They lived gang-infested, drug-infested areas, right?
Right.
So it was complete, 360.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I could have been living.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you know about this growing up?
Not growing up. So being that I had spent some time in LA, a couple years in LA, so I knew about that type of lifestyle. And then when I came down, I was like, oh, no, this is not where I want to live. I did not want to finish high school down here.
Right.
Like this is
Your mother who adopted you. I bet you can just hear what she's trying to teach you all these years. It's almost like it came up at the right time for you.
Yeah. Like, boy, you better find something. You better find a way out of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did.
And you did. And you were. What did you do for that job to make a little bit of money to get your way back?
Oh, I baled hay. I baled hay in Texas. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, for like the whole summer.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make your way back?
Make my way back.
Yeah. But then what brought you back to Houston? Because you stayed out. You went, bio mom was she in Louisiana too?
No, she was in Houston.
She was in Houston.
Yeah, so that's where I came. Yeah.
So then, but from Houston, you wanted to head back to LA.
And I went back to LA. Yeah. Correct.
And how long did you stay there?
Another 2 years. So I got emancipated as soon as I got back.
You did?
Yeah.
That was your own decision?
Yeah.
You went through the actual process.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about this. How does a child, I mean, every child in their angry way, I want to leave my parents. My parents suck. I hate my parents. We all do this. I love you, mom and papa, but we all do this. Mm-hmm. But you, sir, full out go through the process of divorcing
your parents or your legal guardians.
So how did you decide that?
They didn't want me to start with, right? And I could tell that because they sent me somewhere to try to alleviate their stress of dealing with me. And I wasn't a bad kid at all.
Yeah.
Not by far. A little mischievous, right?
Yeah.
Like little stuff, kid stuff.
Yeah.
I was not a bad child.
But I would imagine when you say mischievous too, that you're also grieving.
Yeah.
Like who helped you grieve the loss of essentially your mother and your father? That woman sounds like she was your everything.
Yeah, that's my rock.
Right?
Her words that she told me. But nobody like in the physical form, right?
Yeah.
Nobody in the physical form. I think I have that problem even to this day. I think Bree would probably agree that like I internalize a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like I don't talk about a lot of stuff. I don't talk about feelings. I don't talk about like I kind of deal with things in my own way. I find a solution, then I come back and we have a conversation about it.
Right.
So I took to death. I sat with it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then just internalize it. You learn to kind of like snuff it out, stuff out that feeling, snuff out the tears, snuff out and then try to come out on the other side a little better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see the bit of a light and you think, okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so this process of
divorcing.
Yeah. Like
so I came back. My girlfriend's mother was like, I told her, hey, I want to get emancipated. And she was like, are you sure? Because they didn't know I was back. I just flew back.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'm 100% positive. Like, I need to do this because I need to get registered to go to school.
Mm.
And she printed out the paperwork. I filled out all the paperwork. I submitted it. They sent me back a court date. With the court date paperwork, I can take and register myself for school. She took me. I registered myself for school, started school. They didn't find out I was back. They found out I was back before the court date. Yeah. But they didn't realize I was back until maybe like 2 months.
Oh.
Maybe like a month. They saw me now I'm in school now, going to school every day.
And they have no clue at this point.
No clue I'm back.
Yeah.
And I play football.
Yeah.
And they were there to support my cousin. My cousin played on the football team.
Wow.
And lo and behold, who they see on the field? Me. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm back.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah.
So what was that like moving forward then?
So then we go to the courthouse. I have this sense of guilt inside the court. So because I'm actually, like you said, asking for a divorce.
Yeah.
So I walk in, they're all sitting over there in the corner. I didn't go speak to them. I came and sat down. Go in front of the judge. It's me, my girlfriend at that time, and then the rest of my family on the other side.
Oh my gosh. And you're what, at this age now? You're
15.
15 now.
I'm 15.
That's a lot for a 15-year-old to do. Holy.
Yeah. And they were like, you petitioned the court for emancipation. We have any disagreements? And they had their disagreements, but I proved to the court that with the Social Security check that was coming in, I would be able to kind of support myself on the financial aspect. I was in school. My grades hadn't dropped. I was doing okay. And they said the court granted it to me.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, I think they would have sent me back if they had kept custody anyway.
Yeah.
And that's not what I wanted.
You wanted to just make your own decisions at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's best for me.
Yep. You're looking out for you and you didn't feel maybe they were.
No, correct.
Yeah. And you didn't carry out a relationship after that with him?
For years.
For years.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward a couple of years, I moved back down to Houston I graduated high school with honors.
Nice. Yeah.
Graduated high school with honors. I moved back. I said, man, I need to make money because once you graduate high school, they called and had the Social Security check stopped. Mm-hmm. So now I can't afford to provide for myself.
Yeah.
But I worked all through high school. I got to go to school in the morning, and then I would go to football practice in the evening. Then I had a job after that.
Well, what'd you do?
I worked in a slaughterhouse in the meat market.
Oh, shit. The slaughterhouse.
Something, again, that my mother put into me, right? Yeah. Because I did that in the backyard when we was growing up.
Look at that. She just shows up in all the ways. Hey, she knew.
Yeah.
She knew the minute she brought you home what she needed to do for you. Yeah. Whether you loved her or not, she knew I gotta make sure you were ready to take the world on. Mm-hmm. And that's every parent's hope and dream, but she did it in a way that many of us can only wish we can prepare our children for.
I think that he finds himself getting really frustrated because with his son being 13, he's like, bro, everything I know I learned by your age. Yeah. Like at your age, I lost my mom. I didn't have anybody. And yet here you are, and you're not nowhere near ready for the world like I had to be, you know?
Can't remember to take out the trash. Like,
yeah. It's both sides. Like, I get where you would come from because that's quite a story, dude. And to go through all of that, of course, you're going to want to instill that in your child. Like, I respect that and I'm grateful. I think that's great that you do that. However, Bree, I also agree with what you're saying in that it's circumstance, as you say. Like, I do this too. Like, you, to my kids, you wouldn't know what this is like. And it's like, yeah, they wouldn't know.
Right.
We can do the best to teach them and share our stories and stuff, but those things are not going to catch up to them until they're older.
Charles would talk about his childhood to his kids, and his daughter would be like, were you a slave? You know, and it's like, what? Because we were doing things that our parents asked of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
like cutting the grass and getting the
working in the fields behind the mule. Like,
right.
Yeah. Like I was
it's like physical labor.
Right.
You know, like waking up 6 o'clock in the morning, getting the stuff
hogs before you go to school.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I do want to go back to something you said.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about fathers and like their sons.
Yeah.
So we said we had to split it between sons
women
and
daughters. Yeah.
I do feel like not having a father is a huge impact on women in general. I feel like every woman needs their father in ways that I never even knew until I met him. Mm-hmm. Like, dang, that would have been nice for me to know that. Like, I don't think you learn your true self-worth or your value as a woman without having a father there.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I believe a 100%. Father shows a girl, you're worthy of this. Mm-hmm. Like, I open my daughter's car door.
Yeah.
I take my daughter flowers. If she asks me, she's telling me she needs something, I make sure she gets it.
She's on the picture on your phone. As soon as we unlock your phone, she's right there. Yeah.
So I do those things. So as she get older, she's worthy. She knows like, oh, this is nothing special. My dad does this.
Right.
Like if it's raining, she's not walking to the car.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure she's Bree, wait right here. Dad's finna go get the truck. He's finna pull it around. We're finna get in.
I'm guilty to say this, but it's something I had to grow to, like in our relationship, because I've had boyfriends who had kids, but they weren't active fathers. So being with Charles, being an active father, like I didn't realize how much time that takes away from you. Like, it was like getting with him. He'd have to jump up early in the morning, go to our dad and donuts at the school, or you know, like spend thousands on back to school clothes, and even learning how to shop for kids.
Yeah,
like, it's just a lot I had to grow because I usually find myself frustrated, but I didn't have that, so I didn't know that was normal to me. I'm like, why she can't just go without?
Right.
But not, and it's selfish, like looking back at it. But I just didn't know any better. Like I didn't know that's what fathers did.
Right. Because you talk about your grandpa.
Yeah, but he
didn't grow up in the way with your dad there.
No. So my grandpa, he was a very active role, but he was never my father. He more so just provided the lifestyle he wanted me to live.
Right.
You know?
And like in fairness to grandpa too, all he can do is be a grandpa as well, as much as he even tried to be a father. Exactly. That's not my dad. What would you say as a woman is one of the things that you feel I know having a father, there's a lot of benefits personally. What would you say is the one thing that gets in the way as you're growing up and trying to figure out your self-esteem, your self-worth? By not having a father, what gets in the way, do you feel? What's that one thing that you would have benefited from having had your father been there?
So back to like the self-worth, like I would say none, but I know that's not true. Like I just didn't look at myself like I held any true value. My presence itself, I would just give away, I just never really looked at myself like I was worthy of these men that you see people falling in love with. Like, I'm never going to have that.
Yeah.
I'm not a good enough woman. I wasn't taught anything these women know. Mm-hmm. But meeting Charles, I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
You learned that you had some of those qualities and didn't even realize it.
Okay. What did you find, Charles? What qualities did she learn?
She has all the wife qualities in her.
Yeah.
Again, after a month, I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I see a lot of maternal instincts too. Yes. When you talk about the kids, I'm like, oh, damn, Bree, I should write this down. Especially Why are you teaching me this? What's going on here? Yeah.
It's crazy you say that because I battle that every day. Like, I wake up, I'm like, fuck, he has kids.
Yeah.
And then be like, fuck, I love him. Like,
right? Yeah.
I catch myself being frustrated because, his son's lived with us for a year now. And he's super empathetic. He's just like Charles. If he sees a frown, he's like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? And he'll ask 1,000 times. And to me, I'm like, shut up. Like, it doesn't matter. You can't fix it.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, aw, like, thank you, baby, for caring.
He cares. Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to learn my own path with them too, especially the closer we got. Like his son, I had to learn he's just slower than what his daughter is.
Right.
So you had to put in a little bit more time with him.
Right.
But once he understands, he has it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the kids was a big one.
Do you feel that where you're at now with Charles and the kids, you feel that you're yourself putting those pieces back together with what you didn't have with a father growing up?
Yeah, like I find myself living through, like before, when we first got together, I used to always tell him, like, I don't want to take away from your kids.
Yeah.
I used to leave the house on the weekends when he got them so they could have the whole house and the whole weekend to themselves. But I realized they wanted me there. Like the kids, Charles, like they wanted me a part of their activities. But even now, like I'll tell him, like, hey, we need to plan a vacation with all of us. Or we need to plan a daddy's and daughter's day, a son and daddy day. Yeah. Like we need to do stuff for the kids so they know.
Right.
Like we're not just out here living.
Right.
Middle fingers up to them kids.
Middle fingers up to them kids. Exactly. We're back at that again. I a lot of the episodes I do that. I will put sometimes I'm like, fuck this shit. But we love them to it's one of those things that you just they're part of you. You love them to pieces, but we're also human. And just like them, we get to, in a healthy way, say, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm wondering for you, though, like I'm noticing, because you talk about the space you didn't have, like there's a lot of space with not having your father there. But I feel with not having that, you're feeling it in a really healthy way and how you're learning the balance with your maternal instincts and even what you're learning about yourself, maybe through his daughter, if not his son, but definitely his daughter. Because you said at first, "Oh, can't she figure that out?" And then I would imagine it's like, "Oh, that's something to do with my own stuff."
Yeah, sometimes. But I also see her getting spoiled all the time. Like I said,
that was you too. Yeah,
but I'm like, why is she getting this? Like. But nobody was asking that when I was
No, they weren't, clearly. Yeah.
Yes, they were. You just didn't hear the conversation.
But no, as far as maternal instincts, I am proud of the ones I do have, but I really ultimately think that my growth will never end until I have my own.
Yeah.
I think my own child will teach me more because I didn't get to see his kids as babies and I didn't get to see like them actually grow. And then with his daughter's a little more closer to their mother.
Yeah.
So like their mother's always speaking ill of me and, dropping bad seeds in her head.
You're the other woman.
Right. So mine and his daughter's relationship will take a lot of work and time to get to where I would want it to be.
Right.
I think it's good though. Like, I think it's good though. Like they just had a nail day.
Oh yeah, I heard about the nails, right?
Great. You know how girls are.
Yes, I do. We're
especially
tough
daddies
on
girls.
each other. Yep. Territorial.
For
We're
sure.
like cats.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Daddy come tuck me in bed at night, like every night.
Right.
I told you they did like 2 full days before the vacation. And I'm at work for 2 long days, and I get home and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see my man, I'm gonna be with my man. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
Daddy, come watch this movie with me. Daddy, tuck me in the bed. Daddy. Like, Lord, have them, girl. You can have them.
You're like, I'm not competing.
Yeah, I don't want to compete. I thought we were sharing.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
She hasn't learned the sharing aspect part of it yet. Like, his son, he'll be like, yeah, it's Daddy and Bree Day. Go ahead. Go have fun.
Yeah.
His daughter, oh, I'm sick.
Because he's not sharing me. He's only sharing you.
Yeah.
He's sharing.
His son.
He's sharing.
But his son, on the other hand, like, he'll call me at work. Where you at? When you coming home?
Aww.
How many? Like, why are you on my phone questioning me? Like, you're my man.
He's missing you. He's connected. He feels safe. It's a safety thing.
Sure.
You know, like this, this piece about that. I think that's really cool. When I talk to you too about parenting and even your relationship and some of the upbringings, both of you talk in this way where there's this balance and bringing your own context to the table. And it's really cool because the things that maybe you didn't have control over or feel like you had choice over, I just feel when I hear you talk, I can see how in charge you are of your story. And I think that's a great way to teach the kids that maybe they, thankfully they're lucky and they have it better. However, the pieces that you missed out on or the things you're filling in, you have this awareness.
Yeah,
it's like recognizing, oh yeah, this didn't happen for me or that happened and this is why it's like that.
I just had a real conversation because we did like this big spooky night for the kids. Like that's my little thing, doing themed things for the kids. So we had went out the way to do all different types of activities. I made them mocktails, like a whole bar of mocktails. And then the next day, I don't remember what it was, but I think they were crying about putting the dishes up or something super small that we told them. So you're putting half the dishes up and then you're washing half the dishes. Small, you know?
Yeah.
But they have this whole attitude and he left the house. And I was just telling them, y'all have no idea how lucky you are because you've always had a father there for you. But I'm from somebody who has never had a father. Your dad will do anything for y'all. Like he makes sure y'all don't have to go without anything. But you're gonna complain about washing dishes that are only dirty because we fed you last night on a night that we had planned just for y'all.
Yeah,
so we were expected to do the whole night, to clean up afterwards, to cook the food, to have it all planned. But then we asked for a little bit of help afterwards, and it's attitude.
Totally, yeah.
And
where's the teamwork, right? In that,
exactly. And they were looking at me funny for a minute and stuff, but I was just wanting them to understand how blessed they are.
Yeah.
This sounds toxic, but I was saying like you owe it to the people before you because they've done that. I think that's part of owning it, right? And I don't want it to sound toxic at all. Like, your kids don't owe you anything. Yeah. You had them, but when it comes down to having them starting to learn to navigate life, they're going to have to put in something in order to get something in return.
That's what the hope is, right? That they get that. Yeah. We're not just I want to be a YouTuber but do nothing about it.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. You still got to create content. You still have to put this content out. You
exactly.
Still have to you have to put in something in order to get something out.
What are you willing to do?
Yes. And most of the time it's going to be time consuming.
100%.
Yeah.
Now they take an hour and a half, 2 hours to wash half a sink of dishes. That's on y'all.
Like, you could have had your time to do whatever the thing you were.
You want to play around and chill. So in real life, you have to go to work, and it's not like you could just go to work and speed through it and get off and make the same amount. Like you might have to work 8 to 12 hours a day.
Totally. Yeah.
Are you just gonna tell your boss, "Oh, my stomach's hurting, I'm not coming"?
Right.
No, you have bills to pay. So
yeah, it's like repetition. We keep hoping, like your mom did, that instilling that's repetition. I have a question for you, going back to single dads out there, or maybe dads that feel like they don't have a presence in their kids' life, or their kids don't notice whether they're there or not. What if there are dads out there listening? What would you, Bree, want to tell them, or some advice you'd want to give them?
One, keep doing what you're doing. Like, keep being active, keep showing up, even when it feels like it's not paying off or you're not seeing the appreciation. Keep doing it, because it's gonna pay off in the long run. Mm-hmm. And then my second thing,
for the dads that's not there, start showing up.
For the dads that aren't there, start showing up.
Start showing
It's
up.
never too late.
It's never
Right.
too late. It's never too late.
To create a village, a lot
Mhm.
of single dads try to do it all on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Women too, single moms, they always want to do it all on their own.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a village. And that village doesn't have to be the kid's family from the mom's side or your blood family. Just people you genuinely trust who love your kids and love you. Like Charles, I asked him before in the beginning of our relationship, do you have a village? And he was like, yeah. And he started naming his ex-wife's family. And I'm like, that's crazy because every time he's called them for anything, they've not shown up. They don't help, you know?
Right.
So the first time, like when we went on the cruise was the very first time he let his son stay with my mom. And even in that situation, if Charles was about to cancel our cruise that was already paid for because he didn't have anybody to watch his kids.
Yeah.
When my mom started doing it, he started realizing like, oh, wow, we can do things because we do have help on the side now.
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
me and you can leave and the kids can still be okay. They can still go to school, live their life. They'll be in good hands.
Right. Right.
And if you don't have that village, you're going to struggle and it's going to make parenting way less fun. Because you feel the weight of the kids all the time. They become a burden at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they shouldn't be.
Totally. And I love what you say about the village because for me, my village growing up was my safety net, things my parents just didn't have the capacity to give to me, or when I was unsafe and sometimes the really, really bad things that happened to me, I didn't feel that I could go tell my parents because we protect our parents as kids. We feel they're not ready to hear stuff. But I was so grateful that I had aunts and uncles and my grandparents that I could go to for the kind of help that I needed.
And I'm the same way.
Right? Yeah. And it shapes us, you know, pop culture. So I learned about musicians that I would never have known from certain aunts, certain uncles. And today I am sitting here in Mexico with all of you because Carrie and I have two fantastic friends. You've met them both, Nev and Milich, who don't have their own kids, but were willing to
watch yours. Take care of yours.
Yeah, like be the village, like you said. And that was a big ask because I always thought your blood has to be your village. And over the years,
and
learning
could be so much farther from the truth.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. Your village are the people that you feel so safe with, and you can have safe moments, safe conversations, and that your kids feel safe with. My kids won't even answer the phone right now when I'm calling them, asking them how they're doing. My mom's going to listen to this because she listens to every one of my episodes. I owe her an apology. Hi, Mom. Yeah, hi. You can say Gopi. Because she calls me all the time and I don't always answer the phone. And now I'm learning what that feels like because my son is doing it to me. And I'm like, oh, I got to answer my phone faster now. My mom calls. So.
And with you being like older than your son, of course, you never know when it's going to. Being with Charles, who's lost his mom, I'm so scared to lose mine. Like, I'm not ready for the day that I answer every phone call. I like bitch her out if she don't answer my phone calls. Like you don't know what could have happened to me. Like,
oh my God, my mom would love you because that's her mentality too. She'll just keep calling then.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
like,
me.
What's the emergency? Oh no, you're home now? Oh, hi. I'm like, no, what the heck, Mom?
If her mom can't reach her mom calls me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm going to answer.
Oh, they know. You're the Carrie. That's like us too. Yeah. Carrie will always answer.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I think it's super important to always make time because seeing like Charles would give anything to see his mom call his phone again. Yeah. I'm not going to be selfish and take advantage of the time I have with my mom because who knows how long it is. Like,
totally. Yep. Yep.
So I think it's super important to always show your parents the love, especially when we're older and we realize the stuff that we hated them for when we were younger is so minuscule.
So minuscule. You're so right. Absolutely. And when you look back and you think, they didn't have a manual. No one told them what to do. They were figuring their stuff out in the best way possible. They, it's cool. I read this quote that when you get a little older, you get to watch your parents grow up too. Mm-hmm. You don't see that when they're young. When you're young, you think they're immortal and they're, and then as you get older, you're like, oh, we get to kind of see each other grow. And that's I'd be blessed if my children get that experience together as well, where we hopefully they feel, oh, mom's still growing. Hopefully, yeah. I just think that's a cool piece for you to acknowledge, because I think, obviously want to out our ages, but I have just a little bit of just time on you, really barely even. We're pretty much like sisters. Yeah. But you are learning things that, that I took way longer to get to, that I'm still figuring out. And so it's really cool to have spent this time with you as well, because I'm learning so much from you as well. And you're right, I should call my mom, or that's a good point. Or I will never forget the conversation of, and you said it today too, about circumstances. Our context and our experiences shape who we are. And when we're walking towards someone or about to have a conversation with someone, we have to remember all that package we bring with us. And that person in front of me is also bringing their package of how they grew up as well.
For sure. I grew up always saying, oh, when I have kids, I'm going to be so understanding. I'm going to be the cool mom. I'm going to let them do. Yeah. Then his kids start asking him to go places. No, they're not going anywhere.
You're like, I've been there.
Where are they going to go? You trust them? No. I grew up on sleepovers, and his kids want to have sleepovers. I'm like, at our house? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. Those sleepovers are, when you're hosting them.
On the part of growing with your parents, we go to my grandparents' house all the time, and I always catch myself venting about his kids or the struggles we had that week with his kids. And they're like, yeah, I know. You were just like it, but they can also give me an insight on how they were thinking when they taught me something whenever I was acting that way.
Right.
And then it kind of sends me back home with a new perspective. Okay, well, let me try what my mom tried.
Yeah.
Let me try what my grandpa did.
Right. See, that's the village mentality, surrounding ourselves around people that challenge us and help us grow.
In a good way.
Absolutely.
Because you can always do it in a negative way.
Yeah.
They could easily
That's the easiest way.
Right.
That is. Sure. You do that thing? I thought you didn't do that thing. Or I don't. Yeah. You're right. There's anyone that is influential, or, you speak to, there's certain people you speak to and you feel so inspired by them, or that you think you're such a good influence. To me, that's a superpower. I just am always in awe of those people that I meet every day. And I'm like, oh my God, you just inspired me to want to go back and say sorry to someone.
Yeah.
How did you do that? And they do it just by storytelling or not preaching
or listening
to us. Yeah.
I can vent to mom. I'll call my mom while she's at work. I'm like, hey, are you busy? No, what's up? I said, I just need to vent.
Yeah.
And I'll vent, and she won't say a word. She'll but she won't say anything. And then at the end, it's like, yeah, I don't know what I expected you to say. I just needed to get it off my shoulders.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily need anything but a listening ear with an open mind. My mom's real good. I never oh, that's Charles' fault, or oh, that's your fault. She's just so non-judgmental. She just wants to hear both sides.
Right. Okay, guys. I feel like we can sit here and keep talking. And I know we'll have our private conversations on the balcony, ocean view later. But I also am grateful that it's your vacation as well. You've taken this time out of your vacation to sit down with me. I appreciate that. I feel like my hope is that if we don't get into your whole story, that will be my way of conning you into wanting to come back and do another part with me, or come back and have another conversation. Is that something that I could invite you? Bree, let's actually go back to you. Right. When we first started, you said, I never said yes to this.
Right.
By the end now, are you saying yes to this today?
Yes.
Oh, it's like say yes to the dress, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Because you weren't sure about this.
98% sure I'll say yes to the second one.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, that makes me feel, that was my only goal. I was like, if Bree's going to say that, then I'm hoping by the end we can get her to feel that she's going to want to come back. Okay, so then let me ask you, is there anything that you guys wish that I had asked you today about your story and about the conversation we had that you want to go back and revisit? Anything you want to go back and say or clarify?
No, I think we hit a lot of the key points.
Yeah.
I think we gave a pretty good idea of who we are.
Yeah.
And I think there's, with both of us, there's so many layers, right? So we hit a lot of layers, but there are many more that we could possibly talk about, like you said.
Oh, so you just confirmed to coming back again too then?
I am going to confirm.
As he looks at Bree.
There goes the other 2%.
Yeah.
And I just tell her.
I got 100% now. Excellent. And you're recorded, so I have witnesses.
Right. This is just as legal as a contract.
It pretty much is, yes. Okay, then let me ask you, we're going to do a call to action. So what is one thing that you both can leave our listeners here with today? Something that maybe they can think about or something that they can go and do based on all the things, as you said, all the topics that we covered today?
So mine is going to be towards the people with kids. Try to remember who you were when you were your child's age.
Yeah.
Try to be who you would have wanted at that age. Like who you needed at that age. Try to be that for your kid.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything for you, Charles?
Okay, so I might have to try to, because I'm trying to get it all out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do a couple.
Yeah, go for it.
So don't let your circumstances devalue you to not feel worthy enough to be your greater self.
Mm.
Circumstances, like, your circumstances of being the only brown girl, or your circumstances of being the only black couple, to value you where you feel like you're less valued in that particular.
Yeah.
So don't allow that.
Yeah.
I think circumstances when you're grown are your testimony. Like what you went through or what you had to go without is only to build your character. And then you get to talk about how you survived that same thing that was such a big impact on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you talk about your religion. Sometimes you hated it when you were younger. Like you wanted, but now it should be something that you can embrace because you've gone through it. Like you've gone through the phase of hating. You've gone through the phase of it being pushed on you. So now you should be able to embrace everything that you're comfortable with because you survived that era of your life.
Did you want to add anything to that?
No, I'm going to be quiet now.
I really appreciate that. I know this was for our listeners, but for me, and I'm like really going to try not to get emotional, but it's going to happen now. It means a lot just because circumstance, we make what we can, right? With 100%. Who we are. And the more people we have out there that we identify with that can come out and talk about their story. And we're not asking for big Netflix blockbuster stories. We're just talking about like our family of origin and the things that some of us hide under, the bed and the things that we don't want to share because majority doesn't look or act that way. I just feel on this journey, having folks like yourselves come out and just talk openly about what your journey was like. And none of it comes out in an ill intent or a hateful way. It's the owning your own story. And when I hear people like you come on and talk about that and previous guests we had, it just adds fuel to my journey. It adds inspiration to my journey, as I said at the beginning, because sometimes you do feel alone. And I know standing up, even if you're standing up alone, is something we got to do, but it becomes tiring and it feels like maybe people don't care, don't want to know. But then I get to spend time with both of you and other guests that have come on that tell us, like we can't stop. We got to keep speaking. We got to own where we come from. And if we can own where we come from, it's going to help us project where we want to go. And so to me, and that's why I get emotional. My apologies for that. But it means a lot that you guys took your time and you did what you did with me today, because this is part of the healing process.
A lot of people don't believe that their story is even worth hearing.
And right? I think we had that conversation.
They don't believe that it's worth hearing. So being able to come on here and just kind of like talk about us, who we are, where we came from.
And you make me feel like the celebrity that I know I'm not. Like you make me feel.
Maybe you, but I am.
I have literally never sat down and talked about like my upbringing with anybody. Him a little bit, but to me, it's like it's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing to talk about. But then you have somebody like you who makes it seem like, oh, it's so important. It didn't matter. It's not normal. Like it's out the ordinary.
But
like,
your story may touch another little kid.
Right.
Or a parent of one of those kids who
another mixed child.
And like, oh, well, listen to this with me real quick.
Which so in part 2, we could get more into that. Just battling like, so many different cultures or races.
Totally. As a mother of, kids that come from not 3, 2 different cultures, Definitely. There's a lot of learning. I think as Carrie and I got together and loved each other and thought we'll make it work. And we've had 20, 100,000 billion years together. But then your kids start getting to this age, and from what you thought about having interracial kids to when you start raising them, you just can't prepare. It's the same way as you can't prepare to become a parent until you become one. And I think whether you're someone that is BIPOC or TRIPOC or others that have other races in them, I just think it's hard sometimes for those young people also navigate. Like, we see people that are mixed race and think, oh, the world's going to change. But for them, it's almost harder to identify.
It's a constant battle.
Because it's like, am I letting one side down or the other? Or now my mom's, telling me I can't joke like this. But then, and your friends, like you said, see you a certain way. So I agree. I will love to have you guys back. Maybe the next one's in Houston, because I would love to go back and visit you. We're great hosts, and I would love to go back to your home and visit you again when it's not 100,000 degrees, though. Can you believe it was hotter in Houston in September than it is here in Mexico?
Right? It's the truth.
Like, it was just ridiculous how hot. And there's no gators here, so that's good too. It's gator-infested waters. All right. Well, thank you both so much for your time. And for everyone listening, these conversations are door openers. We're just starting these conversations. If you want to be part of this conversation or previous ones we've had, or maybe we haven't had one yet that you are hoping we will, you know where to find us. Reach out. We would love to carry these conversations. If you have questions for Bree and Charles, you also know where to find us. Let us know, because they are planning to come back on, and maybe you can help be part of the next episode. Thank you again. Thanks for being part of our 1 year as well, you two. This was great.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it.
Super excited for the rest of our evening now.
Yeah.
Middle fingers
Party
up you.
time.
Let's go.
Party time.